Hey, folks, Tim Miller here. And again, what's going on in our country is amazing. Increase in robberies, violent crime, drug use. But this thing called flash mobs is really concerning because guess what? You could find yourself in the middle of it just like that. Do you know what to do? Now, folks, watch carefully what's happening. These guys are not working in tandem. They are working ad hoc, getting whatever they want. This is really concerning because it is a targeted attack, but it can quickly devolve. As you notice, people are running and fleeing. Why? Because they should be scared. This is a big problem. Folks, I got to tell you something. Our country's in trouble. And I'm not trying to be a pessimist, but I will tell you this. If you're not thinking about your family, how to protect yourself and the things and people that you love, you need to really think again. Folks, this comes to us not from some side, little market. This comes to us from the Nordstrom in LA. I don't know about you, but I, in times past, never thought our country would devolve into a place where there is no law. It's lawlessness. Now, I happen to believe it's an intentional focus, that there are those who are trying to destroy our nation. That's what I believe. But let's talk about you. You're in the Nordstrom. A gang comes in. Folks, there were probably, dozens, if not hundreds of people just taking what they want. Now, first, let's ask the question, why would they do that? Because they're not afraid of anything. They don't fear anything. They don't fear the law. They don't fear the justice system. The only thing they care about is that they can get away with it. And folks, I got to tell you, I've been in countries like this all around the world. When lawlessness is common, a couple things will happen. Number one, people get sick of it and they start taking matters into their own hands because they don't trust the government anymore. Or number two, they begin to flee. Now, if we look at San Francisco, we see clearly businesses closing, fleeing, drug addiction, those poor people on the streets suffering with open sores and all kinds of diseases. And yet there are some that would say, oh, that's compassion. Well, I would submit to you, it's the cruelest form of hatred. It's evil. Because when people no longer believe that they can get the help to do the right thing, guess what? Oftentimes they'll do the wrong thing. But let's look at this again. Let's watch this again because it's very telling. First off, as you notice, they come in quickly. And they also have an organized plan to get in and get out. But if there's not a fear of police, they can stay as long as they want. And security's there. They can't do anything about it. Why? Because here's the really ironic part. Talk about good and evil. If they step in to defend their property, they will be arrested and they will be charged. Just think about that. Contemplate that for a few minutes. But what's happened? People rush in. They immediately go after property. High-end property. Property, oh, by the way, it's not the store that will lose ultimately because when that kind of massive theft occurs, it's just passed right on to other stores and you and I get to pay for it. So here's the reality of what we just saw happen. They came in, they were determined, they were unafraid. Some weren't even wearing masks. Folks, think about that. You're going in to rob a store and you're not even afraid of concealing your identity. But let's talk about four things in terms of protecting your family that could make a difference if you think through this and really have a plan. And the first is, folks, wherever you go, you hear me say this repeatedly, you've got to know where all the exits are. All the exits. I'm talking about exits into the back corridors. I'm talking about exits into areas that are employees only. I'm talking exits, because if you know where the exits are, you can quickly and safely observe it. If you're paying attention, if you're not, having your nose in a cell phone, but you're paying attention, you will know how to lead your family out. And that's always the best course. Get out of there. It's not worth it. But number two, folks, the days of you working hard and driving nice cars and wearing jewelry and all that, you better put that aside. Because what's happening now in our country, listen to me, I'm not trying to be a prophet of doom. I will tell you where this is going, is as crime becomes acceptable and the justice system does nothing and the police departments are undermanned and they're discouraged and they're attacked at every turn, guess what's going to happen? This kind of lawlessness is going to take over. And it is kind of already. So let's think through that. You're aware of your exits. You're not broadcasting your wealth. You're not wearing watches. And, I've traveled a lot and I've had to do that in other countries. Why? Because when people see something, they will take it if they think they can, which leads me to the third thing is in a mob like this, folks, now listen to me. They may come in for what the store has that they can steal, but just like that, it can shift to you. And here's what I'm warning you about. As this kind of stuff continues to happen and it gets more and more prevalent and they become less and less fearful of going to jail or getting hurt, they're going to go beyond the store and they're going to come to you. And now it's a personal robbery thing. What do you do now? Well, obviously, it's always wise. I'd rather give up a watch or a wallet than my life. But then what happens if they say, no, you're coming with us? And folks, now you're in a life or death situation that you have to make like that. That's why we train organizations all over the country in emergency preparedness, crisis preparation, understanding your mind and body in a crisis, preparing, training in advance, defense skills. If you're a firearms person, you better know the law. We go through this all the time, the law, the facts, and then at the end of the day, the force that you can use. But folks, you better start preparing, because no one can protect you from a mob like that if you're not prepared and you don't have your own plan and your own way of dealing with it. And then so let's think again. We're going to be aware of all our exits. Number one choice is to get out of Dodge. Number two, we're not drawing attention to ourselves. Number three, we will not go with them if they try to take us away from the store or into, and then the fourth one, into an isolated area. We don't go into isolated areas with people. Well, how do you stop that? Well, you got to have a plan, you got to have some skills, and you have to have a focus of security. Because remember, if you can see it before it comes to you, you have an opportunity to make decisions before the bad guys can make their decisions. So I hate to say it, folks, and I'm just trying to be a truth teller. Obviously, this channel is all about trying to give you practical skills at the end of the day for how you can deal with this kind of stuff. And let me remind you, as this is tolerated, which it is, more and more and more, it's going to happen more and more. And then lawlessness continues to take over. You know me, I'm not holding back. This is a good versus evil struggle. This is a good people trying to live their life, regardless of race, sex. I don't care about any of that. Good people trying to live their life versus evil people who have an agenda to steal, kill, and destroy. And folks, I would just say, as kind of turning the corner on this, this is not to be a doom and gloom thing. This is to be a practical instruction on how you and your family can stay safe. Because, at the end of the day, that's what we're about. That's what this podcast is about, Lionheart. We're all about helping people with skills to stay safe. because, folks, the days are gone where we don't have to worry about stuff like this. And, I'm thankful that for much of my time in this country, we didn't have this kind of tolerated criminal conduct. We've always had evil, we've always had criminal conduct, but we've had systems to address it. Well, those systems are quickly going away. And unfortunately, that means that you and I have to be wise and prepared, not fearful or afraid to live our lives. So I think, folks, at the end of the day, thank you for jumping in, for listening. I would love your comments, your feedback. I'm trying to get the message out. Please like, share, subscribe. But remember, if you're in a flash mob, you're in a bad situation. So when you see people streaming in the door, that's the time to act. That's when you're going to your exits. That's when you're developing a strategy with you and your family. And folks, I hope and pray you never need it. I suspect the way we're going, as quickly as we're going there, that you're going to need skills to deal with this kind of stuff. So hope and pray these are helpful. Would love for you to like, share, subscribe, and comment, because I know there are tons of really sharp, trained people out here that would love to weigh into the conversation. So I hope this is helpful, folks. Please take care of yourself and be safe. We'll see you next time.